Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as my friends over at yarnspirations.com. Today is the Basic Crochet Ribbed Family Hat. This is available in 3 sizes, and the sizes that we're going to be concentrating today are listed on the title of this video. What we have today is a pattern overview for all of them, and then the video will divide off into the size that we're going to be concentrating on today. So let's take a look at the pattern first. You will see here that it gives you the number of balls that it takes in order to do these hats. So for the 2 to 4 you have 1 ball, 6 to 10 years of age 1 ball, and adult is 1 ball. So it says with the ball you can see that the colors are here. 4 hats can be made with the 2 to 4 size, 3 hats can be made with the 6 to 10, and 2 hats can be made with the adult. You can also do a pom pom with this that we will also demonstrate today. So what's going to happen in this pattern is as the pattern divides and has you make a choice, you will see that there's a color breakdown. So let's take a look at something like this right over here. In patterns like this, when there's a decision to be made, you will see that it's color coded, especially on yarnspirations.com. So you can see that the sizing is matching here and the colors match. So chain 23, 28, or 32, which one are you going to do? You're not going to do all 3. You're going to do the size that matches. So you can either do the 2 to 4, 6 to 10, or the adult size, just like you see here. So when there's not a decision to be made, there's concrete information. So leaving a 24-inch long end for seaming, then that's for everybody, because this 24 is not been color coded. So on page number 2 really starts the first row, the second row, and etc. And again, as I mentioned, it has the color breakdown. So it says 1 half double crochet in each of the next 15, 19, or 22. Choose the size that you're going to do. What I do if I were me and you or I I don't even know if that made any sense, is that what I would go ahead is that even though it's been color coded, I tend to circle or I highlight with a highlighter which size that I'm going to be doing on, so when I can quickly glance I can just notice my work a lot more easier. So we're going to be working through this, and it is really quite an easy pattern to be able to follow, and we're going to be getting started in just a moment. So if you think you're ready to go, I'm ready. So let's do the size that's been listed in the video tutorial, and it will divide off now. So let's begin. Let's begin to do the 6 to 10 years. I may have said 6 to 8 years, but it's 6 to 10. So I want you to leave a long tail about 24 inches long. You can measure that if you want to. And I am going to be using Bernat Chunky yarn today, and this is great. So I'm going to create a slip knot first to begin, and this size here we're going to start and we're going to chain a total of 28. So let's just do the first 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go all the way to 28 for me. Meet me back here in just a moment. Okay, now that I have my 28 on here, I'm gonna go 3rd chain from the hook. So just 1, 2, 3, and go to the 3rd chain, turn it over, and get the back hump of that chain. So 1, 2, and 3, and get the back hump, and once you get the back hump for the one, it'll stay turned over for you, and you want to half double crochet there. Now you're going to half double crochet in the next 19. So with this one that you just created, it'll give you a total of count of 20. So you can either start and say this is already 1 and then go through 20, or don't count that and just go from 1 to 19. It's your call. So I'll do 1 to 19 just to match the pattern. So the next one will then be 1, and I'll count this out with you. And then the next one's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So now I have 19 in. So the very final that we have here, there's going to be a total of 6 chains left. So the 1 2 3 there is. So in continuing in the back hump, just single crochet in the final 6. So 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. And that'll conclude off row number 1. Let's turn our work and do row number 2. So row number 2 and 3 is going to be the repeat throughout this whole thing. So as we start this, we know that there is 6 single crochets at the end of this, and then we know that this is going to be then the idea of doing the horizontal bars, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this side will always have 6 single crochets and the rest will always be the half double crochet in the horizontal bar. So to begin this, we know that a stitch is consisting of 2 strands. We can see that, and when you go into both of those, then that equals a stitch. But if you choose the one that's closest to you, that's a front loop, and the one away from you is the back loop. So starting in the first one, just chain up 1 first and do 1 single crochet in the front loop only for the first 6. So count those. So 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. Then you're going to start in the very next one, but you're going to do the horizontal bar. So if you're looking at it, there's the top, and this here is the horizontal bar right there. So you're gonna do a half double crochet into that horizontal bar. So just coming up from the bottom, just poke it and pick that out and wrap and pull through, and then pull through all 3, and that's a half double crochet in the horizontal bar, and this makes the top turn over to give the ridge look. So continuing then to the next bar, which is right there. Do you see these? Just continue to half double crochet. So there's a total of 20 of those if you're counting, but I don't think you need to. I think you just need to look for this horizontal bar as you're working your way across. And this is creating a really beautiful effect on the other side, which we will show you in just a moment. See, once you do the first one, the top just bends over towards the back side, exposing that bar out for you. And you're gonna come all the way to the end. I've got 2 more left. Okay, so we're gonna get the last one here. It's on the end, and then that's it. So that was row number 2. So turning our work, you can see that a ridge formed, which is what you were looking for. So row number 3, here's the thing. We know that there are 6 single crochets at the end. So I wouldn't bother to count how many half double crochets in the horizontal bar unless you really want to, because what you can do is look for the final 6 and make sure those stay as a single crochet in the front post. To begin row number 3, you'll chain 2 and then coming immediately down into the horizontal bar here. So this chain 2 doesn't count as anything. It's just a builder. So come into the first horizontal bar, and once you do the first one, you see the top just naturally wants to bend out of the way, exposing those horizontal bars all the way across. So there's a total of 20 of these going across if you really want to count, but if you don't and you kind of want to watch TV, what you want to look for is the final 6 stitches that are here in the row, so that you can be able to follow that. So my goal is to look for those final 6 stitches instead of counting. Therefore you can put your hook into the wind as you're watching TV without excessively counting. So you want to find the final 6. So let's count those out. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I have 1 more to do. The first one looks like it's always like leaning out towards the back, so make sure that you don't forget that one. So it's a front loop only in the final 6. So 1 2, it's a single crochet 2. Okay, 4 5 and 6. Then you're just gonna turn your work and then begin row number 2 again. So if you remember row number 2, what you can do is just count the first 6. So chain up 1 and put 1 single crochet in the first 6. So 1 in the front loop, 2, this is 3, 4, 5 and 6. Do you notice that that horizontal bar, it's only appears really when you're doing these half double crochets? That's why you're doing it. So there's the bar there. So just half double crochet yourself on the horizontal bar. So what I want you to do is just keep doing rows number 2 and 3 over and over, and I'm going to come back in just a few seconds from now, and I'm going to show you a tip just in case you're running out of yarn and you're switching to the yarn ball. I can show you how to do that in midline so that you're really maximizing your use of yarn. So you want to go to a total distance here of expanding it out, and you need to get that expansion done so that it's at least about 18 inches. So just grabbing a tape measure and measuring out 8 inches on the base here. So don't measure from the top one. So let me just back you out a little bit here. So just grab your tape measure and just measure out to 18 inches. You can also try it on to somebody if you would like to do that and see if it fits them. For the adult size, I've already filmed that and I did it a little bit bigger than suggested. I wrapped it around my own head just to have customization, so you can do that as well. So let's take you to what happens. It's just gonna be a different color yarn. I'll show you how to change the yarn midway through a row, and then we're going to meet you back here when I have my 18 inches complete, and then I will show you how to close it, and then I will also have a portion of this for doing the pom pom too. So I'll see you here in just a second or so. So I'm going to leave a tip for you just in case you're running out of yarn like I did. So I have spare yarn, so this is a great charity project. So if you have like balls that are just partial, you can still use them. You just got to make sure that you're understanding on how to deal with it. So when I'm going to do this with the half double crochet, and you could also do it in the single crochet section here, is that I'm gonna wrap the hook, and I want to leave long enough so that I can deal with these tails at the end. So I'm just gonna wrap the hook and going in, and I want to just make sure that I have enough tail left over so that I can deal with it. So I can do that one no problem, and I can probably start to do the next one, but I'm going to then switch it for the other yarn. So taking another yarn strand, what I want you to do is just create a loop. Okay, so there's no tie, so you don't see it, and then use that and pull that through. Then what I want you to do is putting both of those strands together, the straggler, just go right up over top of them. So just going into the next stitch, okay, so going into the next stitch, put those two on top, and those will get stuck underneath. Okay, and what we can just do at the end is just deal with it. So you want to work those in for about 2 inches and just leave them hanging out, and we will take a tapestry needle later to be able to weave those in. So that would be my tip instead of just wasting yarn. When I was new to crochet, I thought, you know, everything had to be a fresh ball all the time, but if you know how to do this, then it's awesome. So in the back you can barely see that it's even been done, so once it's in long enough you can deal with it. So let me show you how to deal with those strands now, because this is a kind of a bonus part of the tutorial, because sometimes I assume that you know that. So let's show you how to deal with those. So using a wool needle, it has a larger backing on the end. Do you see it? And just deal with the one strand at a time. So just put it on, and if it does look like it's popping out, make that the inside of the hat. It's just really easy. So you want to go back through the work, but you want to go through somewhere that it's not the same exact path, so that it'll get stuck underneath the stitch work. So I'm just choosing a slightly different path. If you choose the same one, you're just taking everything out. So go across, okay, and don't pull it tight to the point where it's gonna change the shape, and just choose a slightly different path to go back in the other direction, like that. And truthfully, you should go back and forth a total of 3 times. So all of this is getting stuck underneath the hat. And again, if anything pokes out, just make that the inside of the hat so that it's not so obvious. So when you present it to somebody, just make sure that it's the right way. So now that's good. So now you can just safely cut that one out, and then we can do the same thing with the other one, which I will do off camera because it's just the same purpose of going back and forth the total of 3 times. Okay, once you have those secured, you could just keep on moving on in the pattern and you're good to go, and you can't even tell that you really did that. So it's awesome, right? So either side is good. So that's just a little tip for you today. So I've now just completed 18 inches along this side here. This side will be a little more narrow. You can see it kind of goes out. And if you want to customize it, you can wrap it around somebody's head to be able to check it. If you have to take out some rows, then please do so. You do want to finish so that it's on the end of the larger section. Okay, so don't end it so that you're up here. So once you're done this, then just cut an extra long yarn tail. You're going to use that to be able to sew it shut, and then just yarning over and pulling it through that to lock it. Now we're going to grab a tapestry needle. It's the same one I used when I was doing the showing you how to change the yarn ball if you have a midway through. This is kind of a charity oriented project, so sometimes we have a lot of extra yarn but we have partial balls, so it's a good idea to know. So what I want to do is that I want to just go into the other side first. So you're gonna match stitch to stitch, and let's just bring you in a little bit closer. Here you go, front row seat. So I want to just match the stitch to the other side and then come back. And I'm only grabbing one of the strands, not both. So I want to maintain the look. So now I'm going to jump to the next one and the next one. Do you see that? So it's right in between. And I'm gonna follow this all the way up, and this is called a whip stitch, just in case you're not sure what this is. So you're just whipping it around and capturing it in, and because you're using the same color yarn, it looks pretty invisible. So follow this all the way up to the top of the hat, and I'll meet you there in just a moment. So coming to the last stitch on the top. So now that I'm on the top, here's the other strand. I'm going to concentrate on that in just a few moments, but right now what I want to do is that I want to tie this one shut. Okay, so just give it a good tie, and we'll deal with that tail actually officially in a few moments, but not quite yet. So just tie it and just let it rest there for a bit. Now you're gonna take this off and grab the other one that is on the top. This is the starting strand that we started with, if you recall. And what I want to do is that I want to back you out a little bit so you can see, and I want to trace around the top with this one here. So just going in and out of the stitch work, and what we're going to do is pull it shut. So I pull it at the end, I don't pull it shut as I go. So I just kind of put it in there, but I don't like reef on it. I want the pull to be an even pull. So now just come all the way around. So using that, just kind of stabilize it and pull everything shut. Give it a good reef. Pull it nice and shut, try to get rid of the top hole. And now when I go to seal this, I want to take this strand and go directly across for where it came out of. So it's out of here, so I came across, and then I'm looking to see if there's any holes left, but I will go in the other direction across, and I can see that it's completely shut. So I want to just put it down through the middle. Just open this up so you can feel it coming through the other side, and then pull it through the other side. So pull it tight, and then I want to seal this to this side. So I'm going to tie it to some of the fibers in the behind the scenes here. Okay, and now we can safely cut that. If you want to cut it shorter, you can. And then I need to go back to the hat on the outside, because that starting strand, or the ending strand that we used to sew up the side, is still there. So just put that onto the tapestry needle and keep that hat open and go out through the middle too. So I'm just gonna seal this. So the next part of this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to make a pom pom. I'm gonna use a different color. It's actually the pom pom that we used in the baby version, the toddler version, but it's the same concept. And also I'm showing you how you can remove your pom pom if you would like to wash the hat if you have to. And once you have this one tied, it's good to go. So you can either do a pom pom. So if you're doing a craft show, people they like to give options. So let's just back out here. So you can see this is what it looks like without the pom pom. This is the baby version with the pom pom, completely almost different. And so what people do in a craft show is that they do a pom pom, but they don't always attach it. They put it in a little baggie, or they just roughly attach it like to a section to give people, a crafter, an opportunity, because people come to the table and they say, I wish you really wouldn't have put a pom pom on it. And you can just say, well, you know what, it's just tied. So as you will see when we're going to attach this, is that it's done as a bow tie, so that you can just undo the bow tie and remove it off, so you can toss it into the wash. So these are the versions that you will have, and so you can see that there's a small version, then the 6 to 10 years, and then adult size. And the adult size here I customized it for my own head to make sure that it fit, and it's pretty awesome. So let's go to the pom pom next, and I will see you again another time. So the easiest way to do a pom pom is to do a pom pom maker. You can also do cardboard, you can also do your fingers. I am not really good at the cardboard or the fingers. I like the pom pom maker. So if you get this one here, you want to open them up, so it's a bit of clamping, and right where the one has an indent on the outside, match it like this. So see that there's an indent here but not here, and then here and not there. So you want to match them to each other, and the indent naturally wants to go with each other. So what you can just do then is that you just want to match. Okay, so now we want to grab our yarn, and we're just gonna wrap around. So once you start this, you can see how it will sandwich together, and you're just gonna wrap. So you're gonna wrap completely one side before jumping to the other, and you'll use the same strand, of course. So once you get enough on there, you'll see that it'll just want to naturally fall into position. The wrapping kind of holds everything together. So once I'm satisfied with that, I can just safely just jump over to the next one. So just coming around the outside, just turn it around if it makes it easier for you, and just start wrapping this side. Once both sides look even, what you're just going to do is just shut it. Okay, so open up the clamps and close it, and then close the clamps. So it's getting both sides, and therefore it's good. And now you can just safely cut this yarn. So all we're just going to do, I'm just going to keep this yarn close, and I'm going to slide my scissors in between the two sandwich sections. There's a small gap. Those bumps that I showed you are keeping that from completely closing in on itself. That, and then we do the other one. Do that strand that also jumped from one side to another. So there, it's good. So now we want to grab that other strand that we were just playing with, and just keep both sides long, and you're just gonna go between the two sections. Like that. And you're going to tie as tight as you can. So it's gonna go down in between, and then I purposely flip it over, and then I come up and tie again. And then once I do that, I then flip it over again and tie. And this time I will go down and I will tie one more time. So these two long strands now become the tying to the hat itself, and so now you can just safely open up your clamps and release that ball. So now all you just got to do is fluff it up and then give it a bit of a trim to shape. Okay, so cut off anything that looks like it doesn't belong. And then once you're satisfied with this, just give it a bit of a shake, and then I'm gonna show you how to tie it to the hat so that if you give it to somebody and they want to wash this hat, they can remove this. So make sure that you don't sew it so it's part of the hat permanently. So back to the hat we go. Obviously you're probably gonna give this away with the hat or the pom-pom attached. Some people actually sell their hats in a boutique like at a craft show without the pom-pom attached, but provide the pom-pom as an extra, just as an extra perk. So you can just put the one strand down through the hat and just pull it to the inside. I'm just using a smaller hook, and then coming to the opposite side of the topping, grab the other strand and pull it down and to the inside of the hat. So you will have two strands then coming out. So just pull it so that it will sit on top. Now this side here, what we want to do is just tie it into a bow tie, and therefore that bow tie can then be used to take it off if you have to. So just trim this so that those long strands don't fall out of the hat. So it gives somebody an option to be able to take that off and then just put it back on if they would like to wash. So this would then conclude on how to do the pom-pom to the top of the hat.